Oh, I got a basketball Hall of Fame jacket on. This man.
What's wrong? I can't wear. What's wrong with wearing a basketball Hall of Fame jacket?
Nothing.
I mean, you said it, so I mean, it sounds like you want to get something off your chest.
Even though we all know that the basketball Hall of Fame is the easiest.
What you mean? It's the easiest what?
Easiest Hall of Fame to get into across all sports.
Is it though? Because there's a lot of guys I feel like that aren't Hall of Famers that probably should be, but they're not in for whatever reason.
Like who?
Is Tim Hardaway in there? That was the first name that came to mind. But I know you got your list of guys that are in the Hall of Fame that you probably feel should not be.
Long list.
Yeah, it's a very long list. But I think that would be a good idea though. Like if the Hall of Fame, decide to break it down in tiers. But then there would have to be a lot of judgment. Oh, who's in this tier, who's not?
It's a basketball Hall of Fame too, which makes it even more like because you could get in based on what you did in college. Damn. There's a lot of guys. Some guys in there, their college career was better than their NBA career, so we're gonna throw them in there overseas as well. Like,
are there though? Are there that many guys that really had like dominating college careers with an ass NBA season and that are in? There aren't that many.
I mean, Bill Walton won the MVP. He had like 3 good years in the NBA. I mean, I know he was phenomenal those 3-4 prime years that he had, but like his college career is definitely better than his NBA.
Oh, no doubt. But I mean, you just don't like old guys, and I understand. I get it. But yeah, there's a lot of experienced veterans of the NBA that
I don't like.
Bill Walton isn't on my list. I'll tell you that right now. I think Bill Walton's a Hall of Famer, but
that's crazy because that was a problem. Like all these guys that played when our grandpa and great grandpas was alive, making an NBA All 75. Like, come on now, like, we got to talk about it. Like,
yeah, it's funny when we talk about age. Let's talk about age. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, I feel like depending on what era you're in, you look at the game a lot differently. So guys like now, obviously Kyrie, we've seen what he can do. But at the same time, guys like John Stockton, right? I think they're two different types of players. So if both of those gentlemen were to match up against each other in the NBA Finals, who do you think would ultimately win that battle? What do you think Kyrie would do to John Stockton? What do you think John Stockton would do to Kyrie from a matchup perspective?
The same player that won that battle in Game 7 against Steph Curry, one of the greatest shots, clutchest shots in NBA history. That's who I think will win that matchup. But not to say John Stockton's defense-wise, like he'll make it difficult, he'll make it challenging. But yeah. Kyrie's still going to win that matchup. But okay. I don't even like. But John Stockton is cold. Like John Stockton was really cold. One of the greatest two-way players in the history of the NBA. So I want to use John Stockton. My thing is about the guys just like in the 40s and the 50s.
Oh, of course.
Making the NBA 75. Like I get it. Like they kind of pioneered the
I don't get
sport.
I know.
I'm just saying. I'm thinking that's the reason why the NBA kind of does it. But like some of these guys I never even heard of was making the NBA 75. I'm like, yo, let me go on Google.
Were you able to YouTube them? Probably not.
Nope. No tape, no footage. Just like, damn, like them numbers are crazy. But it's just like it's so many guys right now as talented as the league has been since the 80s, and it's just increased in the 90s and now 2000s and this era. It's just like, come on now, like.
Yeah, well, I mean, I asked the Kyrie and John Stockton question because I think John Stockton, of all the great point guards to ever play the game, I think he's probably the most disrespected in terms of how people view point guard. Like obviously, people are going to say Magic, Steph, Chris Paul, but John Stockton is like, he was all right. No, John was a very bad man. He was. Well, I'm saying though, like in terms of the other guys, I think that is the other players that we might name have probably been a little bit more flashy in comparison to John. Again, obviously Magic, Chris, you know what I'm saying, Steph, but Kyrie, John might be a little different.
But even Magic Johnson, like I don't look at like Magic was cold like on the fast break, passing ability and stuff like that, but Magic ain't really have no handle like that if we want to keep it real. Like,
well, that's why I said flash. I mean, the passes, you know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, I'm not saying he was, Kyrie with the handles, but of course I think the passes kind of make up for that when it comes to handle. Because I mean, at the same time, he was 6'9". You know what I'm saying? So if you're a 6'9" point guard, you don't really need the greatest handle in the world. You know what I'm saying? You're taller than the average point guard.
But also, Magic Johnson was something the league never seen kind of before when he came into the league. Like that was the first time they saw like a 6'9" guy handling the ball that can play 1 through 5 offensively any position and play center sometimes, like in the NBA finals and stuff like that. So he was kind of like a unicorn himself. So I can understand why like people like, yo, when they saw Magic, it's like us seeing LeBron. Probably to them in the past, like, yo, like watching Magic play is probably how they feel, like how we feel watching LeBron play. Like, yo, it's never been a LeBron James. And old heads is like, yo, it's never was a Magic Johnson before Magic Johnson kind of came into the league.
That's a very interesting topic and something to think about, because I think LeBron at this stage in his career and everything that he's done, he's probably been taken for granted for so long. And even though, you know, we've grown accustomed to just, you know, all right, it's LeBron. He's obviously, you know, top, you know, 3 player, whatever in the world. It's like, that's been the case for like the past 17 damn years. Like
almost damn near.
Yeah. It's like, you know what I'm saying? And, but yeah, I mean, it's just cool to think about. Like, there's very few players, I think, in league history, probably in sports ever, that have been considered one of the best players ever their entire life. Like LeBron, Magic, Kareem, like literally like at the top of their game,
Michael.
High school. And the only reason why I hesitate on Michael is because obviously, like, even if you want to date it back to high school days and the fact that he wasn't the number one overall pick. That's what I mean. True. Obviously, Mike is Mike. Okay. But in terms of like literally you remember the hype Braun was getting at the age of 17. That's like, true, and even before that, you know what I'm saying? But just like as a teenager, I know, you know, Braun didn't go to high school, but just rookie year, like, you remember how hyped his first game was against Sacramento? Yep. It's like to be able to still be great throughout nearly 2 decades of basketball.
I wish like League Pass and like social media was around during LeBron James' first stint. I was watching some film on LeBron in his first stint with the Cavs today, and it was just kind of like, yo, it's crazy how like athletic he was. Like his first stint went to, like, we probably have never seen an athlete in history as athletic as LeBron James in his first stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It was literally insane. And also, I always talk to people, like, people love to say, like, LeBron James, his game is not pure. Go watch some of those first 6 years with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, his jump shot, his game was more fluid, like, handled. Like, he was literally like, yo, this perfect, like, created player that you create on 2K. Like, he can do everything. And then I always say this, like, people love to talk about like that pure aspect. Like, I've seen LeBron James in his like third year in the NBA drop 50, shooting mainly jump shots. It doesn't get no purer than that. So it's just kind of like, it's special. It's
so funny. I think people will say that just because he's extremely athletic. It's like you're penalizing him, like, oh, you know, he hits buckets because he's strong as hell. I mean, he's also good at basketball. Like, in case you all didn't know that.
He's a bulldozer. That's all he does is bulldoze.
But he's also good. Yeah. Like, he's a very good basketball player. He's skilled. Yeah. He's talented. Has a high IQ. I think we mentioned this before on a previous episode, but like him and Russ, like, naturally people tend to talk about their freak athleticism, but they're also very smart, right? And so I think their ability to use that over the course of their career is very, very dope. But do you think we'll ever see another player like Bron?
No. I think LeBron James is the greatest all-around player in the history of the NBA. Meaning, I don't think we will ever see a player that can play every position offensively and every position defensively. Whether you want to say it's for 20 minutes, for 5 minutes, it's LeBron. He's one-on-one. And my thing with LeBron is just kind of like, he's also, prior to this, like his Lakers stint, he's been an Iron Man. Like, going to those long runs each and every season, like going to the finals. And then, like, we had a guy on talking about he's a one-man dynasty. You know what I'm saying? Like, every team that he goes to a championship, no matter what. That just shows you that, like, yo, he's one-on-one, man. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see another LeBron James.
Yeah. And two, just the idea of being a one-man dynasty, like, obviously we talk about LeBron, you know, often enough, but like just the idea of being able to go anywhere in the league and bringing that team to the finals. Like, a lot of guys don't even make the playoffs. Like, it is a challenging thing to do to make the NBA playoffs. This man was able to bring teams, different teams, as if to say, it doesn't matter where I go, that team is going to. That's something that you mentioned in 2K, right? That's something you try and pull off in my player mode with 2K. Like, all right, let me put my stats up to 9-9 or whatever, and I just go to the finals every year. Like, he solo, and obviously he's had help, right? You know, Kyrie, Wade, Bosh, Caleb,
of course.
But like, for the most part, it's been him. Like where he goes, that team goes to the finals.
Yeah, like I said, most complete basketball player in the history of the game, in my opinion.
Indeed. But you know, and talking about top players of all time and active players, and the player that we have to talk about as well, Ahmad, is none other than Mr. Steph Curry. So the Warriors lost to the Suns. You know, Suns, as of this recording, their winning streak is still going. Do you feel that Steph Curry has to win a ring this year in order to have an even greater legacy than he currently does?
It would help. He ain't got to do nothing. He don't got to do nothing any more than he's already done. He can retire today. He's going to be who he is. But
right.
To add on to his legacy and to continue his legacy and to build on his legacy, it would help if he won a ring this year. And the reason why I say it would help if he won a ring this year is because, like, he's doing this, like, we talk about, like, situational superstars, any situational superstar. This year right now, he's having a chance to kind of prove, like, yo, this is my situation. Klay Thompson, we don't know how Klay Thompson is going to react. We don't know when he's going to come back and stuff like that, even though he's supposed to come back soon. But it's just kind of like we don't know when he's going to be, if at all, 100%. It could be this year, maybe in the playoffs, and maybe not to the following season. So this would be a great year for him to win, I would say, a championship and kind of like quiet all the noise and quiet people like me that say, like, you know what, Stephen Curry, as great as he is, it's just kind of like when situations aren't always the best, can he win a championship or can he take his team to the playoffs? And like this year, now, can he take his team to the playoffs and take his team in a deep finals, a deep playoff run and get to the finals and stuff like that? So I think that's kind of like, to answer your question, it would definitely help because it would prove naysayers like myself, like, okay, he did it.
Yeah. You know,
situation.
I think Steph and AD are in very, very similar situations. And the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people, when it comes to Steph, feel like that lack of finals MVP hurts him. And now, obviously, you know, if the Warriors would go to the finals this year, well, I can't even say obviously, but if the Warriors did go to the finals this year and they did win, he would most likely win finals MVP. And the reason why I say I compare him to AD is because both guys, right, we know that they're talented. We know that they're proven as basketball players. But if there's anything on their resume that people feel like is missing or there's a gap or a hole or whatever, it's now. Right? If there's ever a time that Anthony Davis could really prove to the world that he's top 5, top 3, and you know, or even best player in the world, it's now. If there's ever a time where Steph felt like, all right, I should have been in the conversation, and I am the conversation with LeBron and KD and Giannis or whoever, now is the time. And again, the thing is with those other guys, KD, Giannis, and Bron, they won those championships as well as finals MVP. So again, I personally know, right, that Steph is cold, that Steph is like that, but that not having that finals MVP, I think, is going to be mentioned whenever, you know, Steph gets talked about. That's just a sad fact. Obviously, people will talk about the 7-3-9 season, 2-time MVP, probably going to win MVP this year, but not having any finals MVP. What?
Why you keep throwing Giannis in that group? You just
because he won finals MVP. That's all. That's all.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't. That's fine.
I'm just saying.
That's fine.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
when he has a finals MVP, but like my thing with like Stephen Curry is like I just want to see him win in any situation. And right now, like coming into this league, coming to this past year, we both were like, yo, I thought they were going to be a play-in team, 6, 7, 8 seed around there. They've exceeded my expectations, and basically he's showing like, yo, this is a situation. Unlike last year, like the situation what it was like a lot of people making excuses, and he was still top 3, finished top 3 MVP and stuff like that. And you had people like me, like, yo, like that would have never have happened for any other player other than Stephen Curry. Now this year it's just kind of like he's in the same similar situation. And of course the Warriors kind of added a couple pieces. They drafted a couple guys, stuff like that. Jordan Poole has improved his game, but he's basically in the same situation as last year. So now it's just kind of like he's proven like so far early on in this season that, yo, he can win in this situation without having his second best player on his team. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. Like, can he continue to do that throughout this entire season, which I think he can. But then it's just like you say all the time, that postseason is a whole new season. Is he going to be able to kind of like continue this run and continue this greatness with like maybe a kind of like 70, 80% Klay Thompson?
I will say him doing all this without Klay is extremely, extremely impressive. And I don't mean just a scoring aspect, but still winning. Because again, a lot of people, myself included, felt that in order for Steph to really thrive and continue to win, he would need Klay from a defensive standpoint. But Klay is not there. And obviously, you know, if Klay is there, that's, you know, obviously increases their chances of winning. But with Klay not being there and him still putting up numbers, and now they're winning, it's like, what else? What more can you say about him? But like I've said, man, I'm rooting for him. But come playoff time, that's always for eternity. Like we mentioned before, every player is going to have that. You know, every player is going to have at least one thing that people are always going to mention. And for Steph, I think that's Finals MVP. Now, once he gets it, there ain't going to be too much that people say, especially if Klay doesn't come back. Once he gets that Finals MVP, and depending on who he beats in order to get it, there ain't going to be, you know, that much slander available when it comes to Steph. But, you know, it's a long season. It's the beginning of December. But yeah, he's been wild lately. I know last game was kind of rough, but you know.
Yeah, I just hope his body can, because a lot of times we talk about like any situation and stuff like that, and we talk a lot about durability as well. Like, can your body hold up for a regular season in the playoffs? That's why we had to give guys like LeBron so much credit, guys like Damian Lillard so much credit, guys like Giannis, guys like even Russell Westbrook so much credit when he was with OKC. It's just kind of like these guys have so much responsibility on them in the regular season, and in the playoffs, it's still the same amount of responsibility. So they're like players going down, people getting hurt, people getting traded and stuff like that, but still being that engine for their team and that driving force for success in the regular season and then the postseason. That's hard to do. I haven't seen Steph Curry do that, but so far this season, it's looking like he has the potential to do that, at least in the regular season.
Right. Well, I mean, if that's the case, you know, I agree. You know, like he has, you know, he's been putting a kind of team on his back. I know it's been a group effort, but, you know, again, let's be clear. He's still, in my opinion, the MVP right now. But, I mean, Steph knows probably more than anyone what you do in the regular season doesn't really matter. He literally, you know, was on a team that had the greatest regular season, you know, wins-wise of all time that didn't win the championship. And I guarantee you, if you'd ask him, you know, he'd probably trade in the championship for that 73-9 record. So all this is good. You know, I'm not going to be the person that, you know, reverses or tries to point out the bad of what they're doing. But at the same time, come playoff time, you know, this ain't going to really matter that much. You know, I mean, obviously they're going to get home court advantage. You know, Steph is hopefully going to be Steph. But if you don't win the playoffs, then I think all of this isn't going to hit as hard as most people are talking about right now.
Yeah.
But
it's a player, and let's talk about a player that, you know, they could have had on their roster.
No.
How do you feel like LaMelo Ball's been playing this season? Like, do you think LaMelo Ball should be a All-Star this upcoming All-Star game? Because it's close.
It's
should
tough.
he be an All-Star? Should LaMelo Ball be an All-Star this year?
I definitely want him to be. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, it's very tough to be an All-Star, and I think with questions like that, you have to. Like, I always think backwards. Like, all right, do I feel that he should be an All-Star? Sure, but now the question that we also have to ask is, are there 12 other guys that really deserve it more? You know what I'm saying? So I'd have to like have a list of names, but I mean, I wouldn't be mad to see LaMelo in an All-Star game. Trust.
Do you think he's going to be an All-Star this year?
Do I think he's going to be an All-Star this year?
Trey.
Right. Yeah. Let's. There we go.
Kyrie's not playing.
So Trey, no Kyrie.
Let's look at the guard position. You got Bradley Beal.
Yeah, Bradley Beal's main. All right, Bradley Beal.
Zach LaVine.
Damn, James Harden. I mean, I know they're gonna.
James Harden.
James Harden All-Star game. Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. All this is based off like timing. You know, and not making the All-Star. And also LaMelo's young. That's good. But yeah, it's just tough to do. He'll make one eventually, but this year I think it's going to be pretty tough. It'll be pretty. You think he's going to make it? It's really tough to do, man.
It's tough because they don't do the 12 best players.
I mean, even if they did, all right. So if that's the case,
if they did the 12, like if I always want all-star games to do, I'll always say this: like, put the 12 best players, regardless of record, regardless of how their team is doing. If their team is losing, put the 12 best players in the all-star game each and every season from the respectable conferences. That's been my forte.
I'm with it. That can get a little nasty, but I'm with it. So I got 2 questions going off that. One, Julius Randle or LaMelo Ball? If you had to choose one,
Who?
Julius Randle or LaMelo Ball? If you had to choose one,
you was on the last podcast.
I'm on every podcast.
Okay, right. So you should remember, but especially the last podcast, because you should remember what we were talking about with Julius Randle.
I do.
So
that's
LaMelo Ball.
Okay.
Of course.
All right. Cool. Okay. Cool. So are you also stating that LaMelo Ball is a top 12 player in the Eastern Conference?
I'm stating I think there's not 12 players in the Eastern Conference better than LaMelo Ball. Yes.
That's I don't know why you reworded it that way, but okay, that's fine. A simple yes or no would have done the trick, but okay, fine.
There's not 12 players better in the Eastern Conference.
There's not 12 players. There we go. All right, let's get into it. Let's work backwards, please. Okay, I'm not saying you're wrong. But I think we gotta.
There's not 12 players. Let's get to it. There's not 12 players better in the Eastern Conference better than LaMelo Ball. And he should be an all-star. We're talking about the best of the best in the Eastern Conference and the most talented 12. LaMelo Ball is an all-star this year.
Okay, cool. All right, let's. First of all, that's not the same thing, but it's okay. So let's name him. All right, starting from the top. Oh, first of all, DeMar DeRozan. Anyway, I'm not gonna say him first though. Kevin Durant, James Harden. Do you want to count Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie Irving is not playing.
First of all, that's exactly why I said
Kyrie Irving is not playing.
That is exactly why I said saying he's a top 12 player in the Eastern Conference is different than saying he's an all-star this year. For the record, that was my question.
He's not playing. We're talking about guys that are playing.
Okay, fine. Let's run with that. All right. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Giannis.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, that's 6. Trae Young, that's 7.
There you go.
Hang on. 7. Okay, we're obviously missing somebody.
Jimmy Butler.
Was that 8?
Yep.
Okay, Bam's hurt, or he will be until I think mid-January or something like that. So that's 8. All right, we got 8. We're missing some people. DeMar DeRozan, 9. Zach
Chris
LaVine,
Middleton.
10. I was gonna say Chris. I was gonna wait to say Chris, but you think Chris?
11.
Okay.
And LaMelo Ball.
You're forgetting someone.
No, I'm not. And LaMelo Ball.
No, I'm gonna say Vucevic. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know people.
No.
Hey,
LaMelo Ball.
Hey, I told you, bro. Vucevic is the most underappreciated player in the National Basketball Association.
I'm just saying, bro. If we're talking about this year,
I'm just saying, bro.
Sabonis is great as well, but no.
All right. So Sabonis, Vucevic. So right now, I think we have 11 guys that we feel that are guaranteed, and maybe Chris, depending on who you ask, some people might even take LaMelo. But either way.
Yeah.
All right. So we got 11. No, we're not done. I mean, we got 11. Okay, so nobody else on the Hawks. I mean, if you want to go to John Collins route,
no.
I'll get it. I'm just throwing out days, bro.
Julius Randle?
Randle. What about Jaylen Brown? And I know you're gonna play the
No, he's been hurt. He's been hurt a lot this year.
This guy, man.
Drew Holiday? No.
I mean, especially what LaMelo did to Drew.
Yeah, made that boy touch earth.
Shout out to Drew though. He's an NBA champion. Okay.
One of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
Indeed. Everybody get got every now and then. It happens. It's basketball.
LaMelo's an NBA player, but yeah, like I said, it's not 12. If you're going on 12 players right now in this NBA regular season in the Eastern Conference, it's not 12 guys better than LaMelo Ball, which means that LaMelo Ball should be an all-star in the Eastern Conference this year.
Okay.
And I was confident before we even listed.
We're missing somebody though.
No, we're not.
So, okay, all right. So that's
Kyle
what it is
Lowry's Kyle Lowry's not getting in.
So that's nothing too. We're in a time where Ben Simmons isn't playing.
He's not playing.
Kyrie isn't playing. Kemba has been, wishy-washy. I said he's been wishy-washy. I'm just saying. All right.
That's not the first. You should.
There's someone else. I know there's someone that we're missing. I know for a fact there is. I know for a fact there's someone that we are missing.
It's not. You just give the man his credit.
No, I'm definitely give him the credit. I just want to make sure that there's no one being left off the list.
It's nobody being left off the list.
I promise you there is, bro. I'm telling you.
No, we said Bradley Beal. We said them all. Zach LaVine. We gave the Bulls two. We gave the Bulls two. You said Joel Embiid. You said James Harden. You said Kevin Durant. Like, they got two.
Said Chris.
Giannis. You gave Chris. You gave the Bucks two. We said Jimmy Butler for the Heat.
Don't on the Pacers.
Sabonis could be, but I think LaMelo Ball this year's had a better season than Sabonis. Even though you don't necessarily want to compare two bigs to a big and a guard, but still, nobody on the 12 best players or the 12 most talented players in the Eastern Conference. If we going on that logic, LaMelo Ball is a Eastern Conference All-Star this season. Okay. Let's run it up.
Jerry Grant. I'm just throwing out names. I know nobody from the Pistons should be doing anything. And All-Star week. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I know Orlando there. Orlando, Detroit.
Do you want to talk about Orlando?
Atlanta. Like I said, I'm just making sure.
He was very high. He was very high on a. He's out right now, but he was very high on a rookie coming in this.
Oh, Jalen Suggs.
Yeah,
I don't know if I was high on him.
He is. Oh, there we go.
I was high on Jalen Suggs. What the hell? I'm not high on anybody in the league except for Russell Westbrook and Kemba. What are you talking about?
Every time I said something about Jalen Suggs, I was like, "Yo, Jalen Suggs he's going to be a good NBA player." He's like, "You don't think he could be a star someday?"
No,
maybe,
okay.
All-star. I was
there you go. See, that's what it is. It's not that I was so high on him. It's more so I was reacting to you saying that you don't think he's going to be much. That is a different thing.
I didn't say I don't think he's going to be much, but I was trying to tell people what we've seen this year. He has to work on creating off the dribble. Has to get work on his handle. Like, it's
of course,
not.
What is he, 19? Of course he does.
Of course, but I'm just saying. But it was just like a lot of people were talking about Jalen Suggs should have been the first overall pick.
All right, let's settle down. I don't. Not
they
on
were.
This side. Not on this side. Not on this side. Not on this side.
Yeah, they was talking about he should have been a. Yo, I'm telling you, bro. Like, but that's what I said. Like,
I mean, that shot in the tourney probably got people all roused up and shit. But
yeah,
it's a good shot. But
yeah, Cole. Best guard down in Orlando is Cole Anthony. Just to let everybody know.
Fair. We're always waiting for Markel, though. We're always waiting for Markel. All right, cool. LaMelo's.
Say it. I want you to say it.
All right, so I got a question for people listening just out there. LaMelo, Vucevic, Sabonis, and Julius Randle. Those are the other names I think that I'm considering.
Okay.
Can't speak for you. Obviously, you team LaMelo. Okay.
You can throw Jaylen Brown in there too.
No. See, no.
You throw Jaylen Brown in there? He was an all-star last year.
I'm saying, though, you're either saying that Jaylen Brown is hurt or he's in the conversation. Because when I mentioned his name, I said he's been hurt this year. But let me tell you something. Boston's not getting two guys this year. Probably not. Who do you think is better, Jaylen Brown or LaMelo Ball?
That's a hard question because LaMelo Ball has the keys. You know
That's
what I'm
cool.
saying?
You're right.
He has the keys.
All right,
but like if you break things down, Jaylen Brown right now. But at the same time, it's just like LaMelo Ball has the keys. And it's just kind of like he's being the number one like focal point for the Charlotte Hornets. And it's just kind of like, you know how I feel about LaMelo Ball. I said before he entered the draft, like LaMelo Ball is going to be a 6'7", 6'8" Trae Young. That's what I said. And it's just like he generates a lot of offense for the Charlotte Hornets. He also can hit the three. People like, oh, his jumper is not that great. And I was just like, yo, this brother can put the ball in the hoop. He doesn't have that, quick jumper like Trae Young, of course, or the passing ability like Trae Young. But I'm just saying, like, his confidence, his swagger, his game is very similar to Trae Young. So if we see what Trae Young is kind of doing, and he's only in year 4, like, Charlotte Hornets going to be special with LaMelo Ball having the keys, man. So.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think Charlotte has a bright future if, LaMelo continues to have the keys down there. hopefully, he stays as
Yeah, I
long
don't
as his
know.
heart
Do you think
desires. But
I think the better question is like, who are you taking to run your franchise with, LaMelo Ball or Jaylen Brown? Because that's a different question. It's like we always talk about like things about like, yo, one player can be better than another player, but that doesn't mean that like they're better at being that focal point for the offense or the number one option. Because we can break
very
things down
true.
skill to skill and talent for talent wise. It's just kind of like you probably got to give the edge to Jaylen Brown right now, especially if you consider talking about defense as well, two-way ability. But like running your franchise, who are you taking, LaMelo Ball or Jaylen Brown?
I think I would take LaMelo, because I think it's easier to fit other guys around LaMelo, if that makes sense. Like Jaylen is just a pure hooper. Like I think if you fit him into any situation, he's just going to hoop. But I think with LaMelo, it's like, all right, it's easier to draft and trade guys to really build around him. But obviously, anytime you can have Jaylen Brown on your team, it's a good thing. And I think both guys are in terrific situations for the way they play. Charlotte is ready to rock and roll with building around LaMelo, and Boston clearly is tied up with Jaylen and Jason. So, I mean, anytime you got two young wings like that, it's always a good thing. So, I think for both of them, they're in good situations. But in terms of like having that franchise guy that you can draft around, trade around, I'd go LaMelo, but that doesn't mean that, I don't feel that Jaylen couldn't be a number one option. It's just, when you're playing with Jason Tatum, it's pretty tough to do. Like, Jason Tatum is capable of, scoring 30 whenever. So to know that is like, well, because LaMelo doesn't have that, right? Like, I guarantee you if Jason was on the Hornets or LaMelo was on the Celtics, obviously they would still let LaMelo run and stuff, but it wouldn't be the same because you have a guy like Jason Tatum on your team. So
I think it would be the same because I think their play styles would fit each other better than Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So,
well, I'm not saying that they wouldn't fit well together. I'm saying that it wouldn't just be like, all right, yo, LaMelo, this is your team and your team only. You're not about to do that with Jason Tatum on your team.
Of course not. But that's what I'm saying. It's just like those questions get very, very challenging because like we always talk about, and Rashad Phillips came on and basically talked about this. It's like guys' different play styles. When you're comparing the two, that's when things get very, very dicey. Like LaMelo Ball is a true point guard. Jaylen Brown's a shooting guard. It's just kind of like he's a real shooting guard. So it's just kind of like, of course, you look at LaMelo's play style, like I said, it's very similar to Trae Young. He's just a taller version, in my opinion, with less like shooting power from distance, but like generating offense where we're talking about getting players open and assists and also being able to score when needed and being this kind of like crazy offensive weapon. It's like, yo, it's much easier to say, yo, I want my franchise player to be a Trae Young or a LaMelo Ball over a Jaylen Brown or even Jason Tatum at times.
Yeah, and I think it all depends on like what you want, in a player, in like the way or your approach towards winning, if that makes sense. Because obviously it's the NBA, right? Everybody's talented for the most part, but it's like, what are you really trying to build around? Are you trying to be a team that's led by a point guard? Are you trying to be a team that's trying to be dominant on the inside? Are you trying to be a team that's trying to build on the wings? Like, what is it that you're ultimately trying to do? Now, obviously, the NBA draft is a thing, but you're not able to draft. It's not a fantasy draft, right? You're not able to draft LeBron and KD and Giannis back to back to back. So you really have to play the cards that you're dealt. But if we're just talking in terms of like who I would rather have, that's something to think about. If you're a guard heavy or a guard mentality kind of guy, LaMelo's, who you should rock with. But if, you need a bucket, or if you're a person that loves the wings, then probably Jaylen is the one to go with.
And wings tend to win you championships way easier than guards.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what I'm saying. I look at Jason Tatum, I look at Jaylen Brown. This is why I always say that Jason Tatum is the better basketball player than Jaylen Brown, even though it's close, of course, especially skill for skill wise. But I think Tatum is more talented offensively, and you have to kind of scheme more for Tatum than you do for Jaylen Brown. So having Jaylen Brown as your number one option, I think he's the perfect two, to be honest, because I think like if you got a number one guy like a Jason Tatum or number one guy like a Kevin Durant, it's just kind of like it's going to make things easier for Jaylen Brown. I don't know if Jaylen Brown being the number one option where teams are scheming for him defensively on the night. Offensively, they're scheming for him offensively on a nightly basis and trying to figure out like how can we stop him. It's kind of like, you know what? I think he's a little bit more probably easier to stop than a guy like Jason Tatum because we've seen Jaylen Brown have to kind of work to become what he is now. Like he didn't just come in, he came in as super raw and like he's improved each and every season. And I think that factors in when we talk about like number one guys because it's like Julius Randle is another guy. He's improved each and every season. And it's just kind of like the same stuff that's going on with the New York Knicks right now with Julius Randle is kind of how I would feel about Jaylen Brown if he was a number one franchise guy. But I would think Jaylen Brown would be a better number one franchise guy than Julius Randle. I'm saying that. Got to get that on record. But at the same time, I think it would be it was kind of be a struggle, not the easiest transition.
All right. Let me throw BI in there. You know, BI, Jaylen, and LaMelo. Would you still go with LaMelo if you had to choose out of those three?
Brandon Ingram's tough because like he can do everything on the basketball court. Like he can play a dual forward position. Like he can rebound, he can score, he can pass, and it's just kind of like he's in a situation with the New Orleans Pelicans. It's just like they want to build around Zion Williamson. So it's just kind of like I don't know. We're like that's what I'm saying. I think Brandon Ingram should be built around because scoring wise and rhythm wise, you want him to kind of like have his flow going, and also he can like distribute, pass the ball. He can do a lot of great things, but it's just kind of like New Orleans wants to build around Zion. So if I had to say between those three, it would go probably LaMelo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Jaylen Brown.
Okay, not mad at it. And I mean, it's definitely a close call. I think
who you rolling with?
To build my franchise around?
Yeah.
I would go with LaMelo.
Yeah.
I would go with LaMelo.
Number two, though.
Oh, in order? LaMelo. Yeah. Damn. I'll go LaMelo, BI, and Jaylen as well. But it's crazy because I don't know. It's tough. That would be my same order though. LaMelo,
yeah, it's tough.
Brandon Ingram, and Jaylen Brown. I will say that there's not, to me at least, there's not a huge gap between any of those. Like put it like this: if someone wanted to go the opposite order, I don't think I would be like, "Nah, you're wildin'." Like it's still Jaylen Brown. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think, but when we're talking about BI though, one, I want him to get out of New Orleans. I'll just say that. But two, I want him to be in a position where all he has to worry about is just scoring. You know, like them losing out on Lonzo, a facilitating point guard who, you know,
made his life easier.
Yeah, a lot easier. Him and Zion. But now I feel like, you know, he may be put in a position where he has to do a little bit of everything and be that dual forward. Like I don't want that from Brandon Ingram. I want him to just go out there and get buckets. Obviously, you know, defend at a high level and stuff like that, but like trying to set other guys up, like go score. Like that, you know, him and Zion should focus on putting the ball in the basket. And if they end up, you know, trying to put him in that role, so be it. But I don't think that should be the case down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to just let Brandon Ingram operate on the perimeter and just score straight up. Like go get buckets. That should be his goal. Score.
Yeah, I feel the same way about how you feel about Brandon Ingram. I feel that way too. I also feel the same way about Tatum and Jaylen Brown because it's just like we look at them as this great young wing tandem and we know potentially what they can be, but at the same time, you have to build around these two to make it really, really work. The same issue with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, it's kind of like the same issue I see with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's kind of like neither of those teams have a legitimate point guard that can get them easy shots. So it's just kind of like that is an issue. So like that's the biggest issue. It's just like you can't go isolation with these two. You go, I go every single time on the basketball court. It's like at some point, especially in the playoffs, that gets very, very challenging and very, very difficult. It's a reason why like I was so excited about the Brooklyn Nets trading for James Harden because I knew being a basketball purist is just kind of like everybody's like, it's one ball. It's like, yo, have you not watched James Harden in Houston, like he's not just one of the greatest scorers of all time, he's one of the greatest facilitators of all time. I knew it was just kind of like, yes, it's gonna be times where all three of them have their turns isolating and getting down and creating off the dribble and scoring. But at the same time, I knew that James Harden was gonna be able to set Kyrie Irving up. I knew that James Harden was gonna be able to set Kevin Durant up. So it's just like you need a player that can do that. That's why I was like, what the hell are the Warriors doing getting rid of Lonzo Ball? It's just like it didn't make any sense because you had the perfect guy that can get Zion Williamson easy shots and get Brandon Ingram easy shots. So especially when you have a wing tandem like that, you need a player that can do that for guys like Kawhi, Paul George, guys like Jaylen Brown, also Jason Tatum.
And you know what? I want to say something too going off that. It's going to sound very random, but shout out to Scottie Pippen. And the reason why I say that is because when we talk about wing tandems, right, obviously everyone likes to mention Mike and Scottie, and they're like, all right, they didn't have like a real or true point guard. But Scottie did a hell of a job facilitating with Mike and with that entire team and with that entire franchise. That's not as common anymore. Obviously, we have guys like Bron, but Bron is one of one. Yeah. But like just the idea of like it wasn't just a wing tandem. Like they had a guy that could really do it all in Scottie. Now, obviously, again, everyone likes to talk about Mike, but trust, a lot of the facilitating down there or out there in Chicago was from Scottie. And so when we talk about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kawhi Leonard with Paul George, that's not their game, right? They're wings, but that's not their game to facilitate. So it would definitely help if they had a traditional point guard that can put them in the right spot to score. But, you know.
Yeah, but like Paul George's doing it right now. Like Paul George, like that's what like guys are great. That's what we talk about. It's just like Jason Tatum can play the dual forward role, just like Paul George right now is kind of playing that dual forward role with the Clippers. He's scoring, he's facilitating, but it's just like you talk about Brandon Ingram. You just want him to score. Sometimes you want players just to be able to like, yo, okay, you can do that as well, but we still want you to do what you do best. And it's kind of like that's what organizations have to kind of figure out and do.
Exactly. I mean, like being able to do it and being able to do it well are two different things. And shout out to Paul George, obviously. Because, I mean, like you said, Jason Tatum can do it, but is that really what you want him to be doing?
Exactly.
It's like you should probably want him to focus on just putting the ball into the basket. Like you mentioned often, he's the engine. So, like, you want him to be able to, like, focus on scoring and have someone else whose job is literally designed to make his life a lot easier.
Yeah. No, I don't think Jason Tatum is an engine. I'm saying I think he's.
Oh, you don't think he's an engine?
No, I don't think Jason Tatum is an engine.
Without Jaylen Brown, do you think he's an engine?
No, I don't think Jason Tatum is an engine.
Wow. Why not?
Because like I said, I think engines are guys that can do. Like I think Jason Tatum can play that role and be an engine and kind of like facilitate and score when he needs to, just like Brandon Ingram can do that as well. But at the same time, it's like what you want them to do, like we talking about, you want them to be able to score. I think guys like Luka Doncic, LeBron James, that's their play style. They're naturally like, they can score, but they can pass as well. And they like setting guys up.
Okay, so you're saying guys that can score and pass is what you're saying.
Those are engine. And even that's why go ahead.
So would you say Kevin Durant is an engine?
No, I wouldn't say Kevin Durant is an engine because
all right, I get what you're saying then.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Kevin Durant is an engine. That's why he was the perfect piece. You dropped him on the Golden State Warriors, it was like, yo, they unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? And people took that for granted. Like it's crazy.
So crazy, bro.
Yeah, people took that for granted. So no, I wouldn't say.
I'm not gonna go backwards. But
I wouldn't say. I would even say like Russell Westbrook can be an engine at times, and it's crazy. Two guys that we're talking about, like LaMelo Ball, like he's a true point guard to me, and sometimes true point guards like a Chris Paul, like a Trae Young, like a LaMelo Ball, they're like engines as well, but it's just kind of like they're not as good as like a LeBron James is doing it because LeBron is just insane. But it's like it's just like Trae Young is an engine. Like he's responsible. Like that's what people don't understand. Like that's why people like talk about defense. Like yo, his level of responsibility is so insane when we're talking about getting players open, accounting for assists and scoring, just like LaMelo Ball. Like his responsibility is so insane, and these guys can do it because like, you know, it's just special, especially with Trae Young because he's so small in doing this. He's a point guard. Like Chris Paul, he's a point guard, but he still can be an engine at times as well, similar to a LeBron James, because he can do everything and he has that kind of like makeup. Same like Trae Young, same like LaMelo Ball. But they just, you know, LeBron is just such one-on-one. It's just like, yo, Even Giannis, like it's just like, yo, Giannis dropping 30, 12, 6 assists every night. It's crazy.
Special.
Like playing defense, you know? And I'm gonna let you go, but it's just kind of like we also got to talk about like defensively, because like I said, Trae Young, LaMelo Ball can do it, but it's just like defensively they can't do it. You know, Chris Paul can do it. That's why I would say Chris Paul is the most complete point guard of all time, because he can be it not just offense, he can be it defensively as well, similar to LeBron and similar to Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah. So name the point guards. Who do you think had more responsibility? Trae Young right now with the Hawks, or James Harden with the Rockets? I guess pre-Chris.
Probably James Harden
Russ too.
Probably James Harden with the Rockets, probably.
Statistically, there's a lot of like, it sucks like when, fans and media or whatever get used to certain numbers. Like when you really, really like, I'm not even a big numbers guy. Like when you really look at like the numbers that James Harden was putting up, it's almost like, yo, what the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. He was an Iron Man too.
Like,
he was playing all games and stuff. It's crazy.
And so it's like, yo, was there anybody on the other end playing defense? And he was doing this shit every game?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But
then people and right now, like people, James Harden's been inconsistent this year because he's not in shape, and he's coming off that hamstring injury and stuff like that. So go ahead.
But I mean, I think too. Also, he's also probably trying to figure it out. Like I think that's a piece of this. Obviously, James Harden's a great basketball player, and he's played with Kevin Durant before, but he's not the same James Harden as he was with OKC. And obviously, they played seasons prior, but it's like even still, it's like you still got to figure it out.
That trio played 11 games together,
right? And I know again when you mesh talent with talent, naturally people want to think, all right, you need to be winning by 60 every game, but it still takes time. You're playing against other NBA guys. Now, I'm not letting him off the hook, y'all, for the record. Y'all know I'm not. But the idea of just thinking that, like, all right, this shit gonna work immediately, like, no.
But it's also like James Harden didn't think Kyrie Irving wasn't gonna be there. It's easy to like know, like, okay, I'm gonna come off. I know I'm coming off an injury. I didn't get to play as much in the offseason. When I know I got Kyrie there and I got Kevin Durant there. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm
a chill.
Yeah, he was expecting to kind of like work his way into shape, knowing that, yo, I came here to basically, like, with my passing ability and facilitating ability, I came here to be the third option. Like, I'm letting y'all cook Kyrie and Kevin Durant, and when I need to cook, I'm going to cook, but I'm also getting y'all easy and open looks. But when you take that away and you come in a season and you're, a little overweight and you're not healthy fully, it's like, damn, that's how people looking like, yo. And then the foul rules as well. Like, damn, they're not even giving me the fouls that I'm used to. It's just kind of like, yo, that could be like mentally like confusing and kind of like, yo, okay, sure, I got to figure this thing out because like Kyrie not here. I'm still coming off an injury. They not calling the fouls like they used to. Like, yo, that's what we've been seeing. That's what we've been seeing from James Harden, like the inconsistency and the ups and downs and stuff like that. And nobody talks about that, like, yo, not having Kyrie when that's what he signed up to do. He didn't sign up to be a Houston. He didn't sign up to be a Houston James Harden.
But he didn't. He doesn't. I don't think he has to be Houston James Harden though. That's the problem. You have Kevin Durant on your team. Now again, I'm not saying that just eliminates
But right now he has to be. He has to talking about like scoring first, passing second. He has to be that.
Oh, in that sense, okay, yeah.
In that sense.
But when I think of Houston James Harden, I'm thinking like 30 and 10. Like you don't have to do that.
No. But yeah,
again,
gotta be 25 and 12 though.
And 12 is great. Even that's pretty much the same thing. 25 and 12, 30 and 12. He don't got to average 25 and 12. I mean, without Kyrie, hopefully Kyrie comes back sooner rather than later. But that's neither here nor there. But I want to say something too before we dive into cap or no cap. This is again another random thing. I want to shout out the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Let's talk about it. I was going to talk about let's talk about it.
I want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers really, really quickly. All right. I know they are not the Los Angeles Lakers. I know Kevin Durant is not on this basketball team. I know this is a team that a lot of people may not pay attention to. But let me tell you something. Them boys are playing. All right. them boys are playing. And that defensive front court with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen needs to be shouted out on this show. Okay? Like I said, we talk about all 30 NBA teams. This is not just a, 1 or 2 or 3 team
Talk
show.
about it.
So shout out to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Here is your shout out on No Pump Fakes, man.
Go ahead. You talk about
They should have
it.
been their record. A lot of people probably 12-10 winning record, right, in December. Okay, no Collin Sexton issues and all that, but they are playing, right, playoff basketball. Hopefully, it'd be cool to see them have an all-star in the game. But Evan Mobley being, one of the best rookies in the league, Jared Allen, being traded away from Brooklyn, all that. They are playing basketball.
Low rate marketing. When I told you this off season,
even in a crowded front court,
they're doing a 3 big lineup.
They are playing. They are. I ain't even mad at it.
You're impressed. I'm definitely impressed.
I think everybody is it's hard not to be. I mean, outside of the city of Cleveland, I don't know too many people that would have said oh yeah, they're definitely a playoff team, or they would definitely be 12-10 after 22 games. So they've been playing, man, for real.
Evan Mobley, the most talented player in the 2021 NBA draft.
Whoa.
There you go. The most talented player, Evan Mobley, the most talented player in the 2021 NBA draft. Has the potential to defend 1 through 5 on the basketball court. Sky's the limit offensively. Chris Bosh disciple. The most talented player in the 2021 NBA draft.
I never thought I'd hear you say that, due to the Jalen Green stuff. That's the only reason why I reacted that way.
Hey, but that's just the truth. But also, Darius Garland, top 5 handle in the NBA. Can boogie in isolation, can get the paint and hit his floaters. Very quick off the dribble. Excellent passer. It's clear that he has the keys to the franchise with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I say that, I hope Collin Sexton comes back healthy. I'm sure he's going to come back healthy. But it's clear that Darius Garland needs to have the ball in his hands. He needs to be running the offense. He's an excellent passer. He's averaging what does he average like? It's 18, 7, and 2 right now. Shooting 45% from the field, 35% from the three-point line, 84% for the free throw line. He's special. He reminds me kind of Nick Van Exel. That's his game. That's what he kind of reminds me. He's special. He's a very, very, very special talent. He can shoot the pill too from deep.
And sometimes all it takes is a little patience.
Yeah, he was hurt though. He was hurt these first couple of years too.
All it takes is a little patience. Everyone likes to write guys off so early in their career. It's damn, just wait a little while. Let's see them develop into the players that we know that they can be. So, and they got some young pieces too. That's nothing. It ain't a bunch of veterans walking out there. And they got some young pieces that are playing very, very well together. Evan Mobley, who knows, may be well on his way to winning Rookie of the Year. Now, obviously, Scotty Barnes might have something to say about that, but he especially defensively, man. Him and Jared Allen, bro. I'm telling you.
Twin Towers defensively in the East. They bringing it back.
Yeah. I am extremely happy for the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. And it's hard to hate them. There's no reason to really dislike.
No, but they're here.
But they're here, man.
They're here, which leads me to my cap or no cap. Because
let it fly.
We're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we know Collin Sexton is out right now. So it's just there's a lot of people that feel we heard the talk. Collin Sexton should be a 6-man. I think that's nonsense. I think he's still valuable in this league. I think the problem was with Darius Garland, his injuries is just he's always had the ball in his hands, and they haven't played much with each other until this season and then late last season. So it's just kind of he's always had the ball in his hands. Collin Sexton is not a true point guard. So it's just if he comes back, he needs to slide to that 2 position. But I don't know, what's going to happen with that situation and stuff like that, especially if the Cleveland Cavaliers are winning. So my thing is, my cap or no cap for you is just it's a combination. Should the New York Knicks, let's say if things don't work out with Collin Sexton and the Cleveland Cavaliers, should the New York Knicks, cap or no cap, the New York Knicks should trade for Collin Sexton?
Absolutely, if they can. I mean, we see what kind of they're doing with Kemba. I think a young backcourt star in Collin Sexton would team up well. With RJ on the perimeter. I think the lobs could be kind of crazy with him and Mitchell Robinson. And I think, what, too? I think New York fans would definitely embrace Collin Sexton. Mm-hmm. The way he plays in terms of hard, and he's talented. Yep. So it ain't just he's a hard worker. He's good. But But then, I mean,
a dog.
obviously, he's a dog. Yeah, and I think obviously though the next question that comes after that is, well, what's the trade package looking like? You know, I don't think the Knicks are going to give up RJ. Obviously, you know, the love is there. They just gave Julius that contract. I know, obviously, you know, with Collin's contract right now is kind of up in the air, but
Yeah.
I mean, if the Knicks can pull it off, of course. But
Mhm.
you know, it's tough to answer that without there being an actual trade package on the table.
Yeah,
But yeah,
man,
I mean, you know,
I think they can. I think Collin Sexton and DG can work, but at the same time, it's just kind of like Collin Sexton playing off the ball, being a two-way monster, especially defensively and stuff like that. I think it can work, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, I don't know, like, it's been so much talk about like Collin Sexton, like, should he come off the bench? Should he do like this? I don't think he's gonna like settle for that in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if they start winning games and they make the playoffs without him, it's gonna be a situation where like the front office is probably gonna look and like, yo, like, this is how we're going moving forward. Like, we're moving forward with DG and Evan Mobley being our future. Collin, we still want you to return, but we're not going to offer you that big contract. And that's when the questions comes into play, like the money side of things. Like, yo, if he can get his money and get traded and go to a team that really wants him to be a starter, I think the New York Knicks will be the perfect situation, especially with like Tom Thibodeau, what they're about defensively, like his two-way ability. He's a dog, pairing with some other dogs. I think that would be the perfect situation. But then, like you said, you talk about trade package. What would that trade package be? I don't think it had to be that crazy, but I think it's just like the Cavs are going to want something in return.
well, then I mean, like if Collin does become a restricted free agent, or whatever, you know, and you know, the Cavs have to match a certain offer, but I mean, I'm just all right. So
Would they? That's what I'm saying.
would they
Would
match
they?
it? I doubt it, depending on what the
That's-
number is. I mean,
Yeah.
they should though. I mean, just pay the man his bread, because then if you don't pay Collin Sexton, the next question is going to be, well, what is your true goal, right? You know, obviously, you know, you don't want to get too spoiled in terms of they've obviously improved this year, right, with DG and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. But now, even still with that, do you feel that this team can win a championship eventually? Maybe not this year or next year, but do you think that this team, this core, can win a championship without Collin Sexton? Because you know for a fact that you're not getting no free agents. You're not. So, you know, no disrespect, but people ain't really going to Cleveland like that. So
That's
now
real.
it's like, all right, you've got guys to the draft, right? You got Evan Mobley, you got Darius Garland, you got Collin Sexton. You got lucky enough to get 3 guys that you have drafted. You know, you got Jared Allen through trade, you got Laurie Marketing, but it's like, yo, that should be your core. If you mess that up, you're now starting, maybe not from square one, but you ain't getting closer to a championship by not signing Collin Sexton.
But maybe that's not their core. Maybe their core is Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and DG.
I don't think that gets it done. And I love Jared Allen. I love what he's doing for that team, but I don't think that gets it done. And again, in terms of winning a championship, if their goal is just to compete, make the playoffs every year, sell a few tickets, sure. But if you are trying to win a chip, I think Collin Sexton has to be a part of that. And it's not even if, ands, or buts about it. By you not paying him, you're basically making it clear like, hey, all right, you know, we wish we could, you know, pay you, but we just can't. All right, cool. Yeah. That just tells me what you're not trying to do, and that's win a championship.
Well, I guess a cap or no cap should be, if they make the playoffs, should they trade Collin Sexton?
No, I don't. There's no scenario where I think that they should trade Collin Sexton unless they go out and win the NBA Finals or make it to the. I'll say, if they make it to the semifinals, then maybe there's a conversation. But I don't see that happening. Again, if they do, kudos to them. But like this, in order for them to make it to the semifinals, that means they would have to beat the Bucks, the Nets, or the Heat, or someone like that. And you know,
but I think my only fear is, I think when they start looking to like improve their team, and I hate to say it, but it's just like Collin Sexton's name is gonna keep ringing. So I feel like, what if it's a scenario where it's just like, if they don't pay him, that lets me know if they're waiting on another team that do a restrict. I don't know. It's
all a business at the end of the day. I mean, everybody knows that. So it's like, even though as good of a player as Collin Sexton is, if he goes down with an injury and he's not playing, then the team is winning and stuff without him. Naturally, as a GM, as a boss, you're gonna think, well, damn, do we really need this guy? Can we be cheap enough to not pay him and still get away?
Small market team.
Yeah, but again, being a small market team, who knows if you can really get away with that? You got lucky getting a very talented guard in the draft. right? You can sit here and say, well, our scouting team did a great job. There's plenty of teams that have shit the bed with drafting a certain player. You got lucky and drafted a guy that probably wants to stay with Cleveland, that wants to stay, regardless of the reason. Okay, if it's money or whatever. But like, yo, if he wants to stay there, he's good. He's a dog offensively and defensively. Don't get spoiled, right? Because even though Cleveland had a championship recently within the past 5 years, let's not make it seem like they've had a crazy history of signing free agents. Let's not make it seem like you done had decades of greatness following outside of LeBron. Like,
but you know what they're missing? They're missing that two-way like wing player. And then if you're a GM, you're kind of looking at a situation like, yo, we got DG, and then we got Collin Sexton. Like, Collin Sexton is a dog defensively, but we know that it's still a small backcourt as well. And we're kind of missing. We got Lauri Markkanen at the 3 right now. The three big lineup is working right now, but that's not going to always be their lineup. I just hate to, especially if they do make the playoffs, because he's going to get exposed real quick. Like, it's 2 players on that team that's going to get put on the island. It's DG and it's going to be Lauri. So maybe if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers front office, you're looking at like, yo, maybe we can like try to package Collin Sexton to a team to get like a Jeremy Grant. Maybe we try to go after get Cam Reddish. Like it's some pieces out there. You may not be able to trade. Like I doubt. But then again, who knows? Who knows? Because the Hawks got plenty of win. Who knows? I'm just saying. But it's just like it's some teams out there that Collin Sexton can like be very attracted to. And if you're winning with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you're like, yo, like Jeremy Grant for Collin Sexton.
I hate this business, man.
Sometimes
I really hate this business, man.
It sucks, man. But we got to talk about it. Well, shout out to Cavs, man.
Yeah. Shout out to the Cavs. Good cap or no cap, man. But before we go, man, happy birthday shout out to Peter, man. Got our production team, man. Happy birthday, man. Hope you had a good one, man. Happy birthday. But just like that, man, we gone. No pump fakes. We out. Peace, y'all. What's up, y'all? It's Theus McBee. Make sure you go follow No Pump Fakes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.